Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. XRP on the hourly, we saw another increase of about a cent from yesterday. Last night, XRP was trading at about 27 cents, 27 and a half and change. Okay, this was yesterday evening, so this is the hourly. Then we saw this pump up here. We made a high of about 0.293 for XRP, and now we're trading at about 0.287 cents. So another cent, and I know everybody's thinking, yeah, well, it's only a cent, It's not that much, Working Money channel. Why are you getting all excited about this? But guys, you have to understand, every little bit counts, and when a cryptocurrency is worth as little as XRP is at the moment, a cent is worth quite a bit percentage-wise when you compare it to the value of the cryptocurrency. So if we look at Bitcoin, guys, on the hourly, look at Bitcoin and look at how poorly it has done over the last several hours in comparison to XRP. Now, I did the calculations, and it's interesting to state that I'm putting Bitcoin here on the daily for a second. After this dump here, okay, we saw this big dump for the entire cryptocurrency market on September 24th, okay? And I calculated the low of that dump to today's high. And the low of the Bitcoin dump, Bitcoin hit $79.98, so just shy of $8,000, so $7,998. And its high today, as you guys can see, these every candle represents one day, and Bitcoin is still not doing so great. But the high today was $83.42, so $8,042 per BTC. And so that represents an increase of 4.3%, okay? 4.3% over the last 3 weeks or so since September 24th, since that dump occurred. Now, when you look at XRP, and guys, these numbers do matter. When you look at XRP, that same day, that same dump, September 24th, we saw a low of XRP hitting 0.22 cents. So for those of you guys who had your orders in and ready, sub 25 cents, congratulations to you. You bought at the right time. But now look at XRP. So today, the daily candlestick for XRP reached a high of 0.293, and that equates to, in those same 3 weeks that Bitcoin did 4.3% growth, XRP grew by 33.2%. Now, what does this all mean? Why are we seeing XRP go up? Why are we seeing momentum in the space for XRP? Is it volume from utility? Is it all the great news that's coming out for XRP? Is it the build up towards swell in early November? Well, it could be some of those things, guys. And I saw this article here. So this is essentially just an article talking about some major milestones that XRP still needs to get through in order to break those resistance levels and keep moving forward, guys. I won't talk about this article because I've already kind of discussed my interpretations of the charts, but I will link it in the description. Essentially, the takeaway here is that, yeah, we still have quite a few resistance levels to break through in order to keep making new highs, guys. As I keep saying, this one's important here, the 0.326 mark. Then we're going to keep our eye on this, okay, 55.505 cents. This one's going to be important here as well, the 0.378, just because XRP has vacillated, as you guys can see here, a little bit here, a little bit here, topped out here back in April. So those are going to be very important. And then the big ones, okay, 77 cents approximately. Okay, we're going to be up here at about 96 cents, 97 cents, $1.22, $1.39, $1.72, $2.24, and then finally the biggie, okay, the all-time high, 3 and change, 3.30, depending on what exchange you look at. But we got more XRP news here. Ripple's director of products reveals new project idea on the XRP ledger. So this from Craig DeWitt. Now that the Spring SDK has launched, I'm working on an XRPL side project. Any musicians or podcasters interested in selling their stuff for XRP direct to their address? I'm thinking about building the site that allows MP4 downloads for direct XRP donations to the creator. Now, this is great because the ecosystem is continuing to build, and we have little worker bees helping to make this happen. All those spring projects are what is going to get the XRP ecosystem up and running. And so, guys, this isn't just going to be a one-pronged solution, right? XRP is going to build. People are going to buy more XRP if they're able to utilize it in the real world. If there's an ecosystem where we can use it to buy creative content from musicians or artists or whoever, XRP is going to be more valuable. Therefore, there'll be more demand for XRP and the price will continue to rise. But even if we don't look directly at the XRP ecosystem, if we're not so laser focused on it and we just look at the world as a whole, right? There are so many things going on that are going to affect cryptocurrencies, in my opinion. So the G7 group of nations have issued a report that says global stablecoins are a risk to the financial system. So this from XRP Crypto Wolf on Twitter. He sent me this, and so this article is essentially stating that. Here's a quote. The G7 believe that no stablecoin project should begin operation until the legal, regulatory, and oversight challenges and risks are adequately addressed. Addressing such risks is not necessarily a guarantee of regulatory approval for a stablecoin arrangement. And they talk a little bit about Libra here, essentially trying to thwart Libra before it gets off the ground. And there was intense pressure. And as you guys know, I did a video a few days ago. There was, some news going around that PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, Stripe all dropped out of Libra coin. And it looks as if they are getting pressured by world governments and regulators to step back. Don't get involved with Facebook on this because they're making the wrong move. And so this article here states just that. Facebook's David Marcus cites intense pressure as eBay, Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, PayPal abandon the crypto project. So a lot of their statements were trying to sound diplomatic. We highly respect the vision of the Libra Association. However, eBay has made the decision to not move forward as a founding member. At this time, we are focused on rolling out whatever. You guys get the point here. A lot of these companies were feeling the pressure. They're not going to admit it like that on paper or in an official statement for that matter. But when you guys put two and two together, you can see the world isn't ready for cryptocurrency, let alone a global stablecoin that could just rattle the system. And by a global cryptocurrency stablecoin that could rattle the system, what I mean is a cryptocurrency that wishes to fly in the face of regulators and to essentially be that cross-border solution for people around the world to transact, as it seems that Facebook wishes to do. Now, the people over at Ripple want to be completely compliant, want to play the game with the G7, are willing to play the game with the regulators of the world and play the game with every country's banks and every country's government so that they can permeate the system. They can be the first to use cryptocurrency on a global scale. And Brad Garlinghouse has even said flat out, right? Ripple is the only company right now that is using blockchain and cryptocurrency at scale, the biggest. XRP is even being added to more baskets for crypto-friendly investors. So XRP, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum reserve a place in FXCM's crypto basket. So that is the Forex capital market. So they've dubbed this basket Crypto Major and will be adding Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash to use multiple financial instruments in baskets that will make it possible for investors to trade in all of them at once without the need to manage each instrument separately. And we're noticing a lot more companies doing this, right? Creating crypto baskets because the market is still very speculative and it does essentially move as a whole. But so as not to pick one cryptocurrency or another, what these companies are indeed doing is creating baskets for their clients. This isn't anything new. It's interesting to see that XRP is added in there. Well, at the beginning I would have thought it's interesting. Now I feel like people are getting it. People are realizing that XRP is going to be one of the major cryptocurrencies that will influence how the world runs. I'd say as soon as the next decade, the 2020s, we'll see a big difference. This tweet was also brought to my attention by Crypto-XRP brought this to my attention here. Analysts at the International Monetary Fund are comparing current global financial conditions to the types of the conditions that sparked the global financial crisis of 2008. And guys, a few things here in this article. It's looking as if a crash is imminent, and this is because a lot of this is tied to the US dollar. Global economy is tied to the US dollar. And in this article here, they talk about Japanese banks. So discussing the IMF's Global Financial Stability Report, banks' dollar funding, a source of financial vulnerability, lead author Adolfo Baraja says that his team posed 3 questions to determine the impact of the US dollar funding on banks around the world. So think of Japanese banks. So do Japanese banks do a lot of dollar business? They face funding shock in US dollars. Do we see reverberations of this in the Japanese banking system? And the answer to that question is yes, we do. They ask a second question here. Given that same shock to funding costs, do we see strains in countries that borrow from Japan in dollars, say Thailand, for example? And does it spread? Is there spillover? And the answer, yet again, is yes. There is spillover to more economies than just the initial economy that does the funding cost borrowing. The third question has to do with these amplifiers and mitigators. So we said, given these shocks and the fact that they have these negative effects, are these factors in the banking system, for example, the Japanese banking system, that would amplify these effects or mitigate these effects? And some of these have to do with policy. Our main conclusion is yes. Essentially, this problem is getting out of control. The IMF has isolated this, and they are likening it to, at least certain characteristics of it to the 2008 financial crisis. We cannot go on like this forever, guys, and I have a feeling that when the SHIT hits the fan, and I know I've said this before in my videos, there is going to be a dump into cryptocurrency like you wouldn't believe. Right now, the market cap is at 224.9 billion. I could see this closer to, well, at least over 500 billion. It depends. It depends how confident those real sophisticated investors are going to be at that moment. And it depends on how much regulation there is going to be in the space. But definitely this number will grow, guys. And when this number grows, it only means one thing. All the cryptocurrencies in the space will grow in price because money will be pumping into the market. The question is, which cryptocurrencies will be the best to park your fiat in? I know there'll probably be a couple, but I've got my eye on XRP for the win. Anyways, guys, that's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.